Well, again, thank you for joining us. We're going through foundational nutrition course, and it's not really foundational in the fact that it's like ultra basic. We're going to be going through some specific things here, but really it's the foundation in terms of you have to have this knowledge in order to achieve your health goals. Nutrition, we know, I mean, if you have at least 3 opportunities to eat throughout the day. Most people eat 3 meals a day, and really what you put in your body is going to either build health or disease, right? And so which do you want to do? Everybody who's watching this video wants to build health, right? So we're going to walk through it.
Sounds good. Can you guys, now our heads are in it.
There you go. Great.
Okay, so many of you guys know this. This is our heart. We love to talk about this in the office. Dr. Cody and I are drinking some tea. Cheers.
Some organic tea.
My voice is shot at the end of a long week. So we talk about the exchange of the 4-letter words in this office. And ultimately, when it comes to nutrition or toxins or working out or chiropractic adjustments, removing interference, we don't choose health. We don't spend all this time and money just to be healthy for the sake of health, right? We choose to be healthy because when you have your health, you have everything.
Yeah.
And we know the opposite to be true as well. When you lose your health, you lose everything. So, as we're going through these action steps and we're leaving you guys with action steps, I want you to kind of ground yourself and think about why health for you. This is our heart for you, but you need to come up with your own why, your own version of why you're going to choose to take action. So our heart is that the sick would be made well, that you could exchange sickness for wellness,
Yep.
That those with fear of a diagnosis or of never losing weight or always feeling sluggish and tired could actually have hope restored to them, that
Yep.
they can get healthy, they can lose weight, and they can feel better, and they can have their health back, right? It's very true. And then when you have that, the dead things come to life, right? And that could be your goals, your dreams, your visions, maybe brain cells, right? Even healthy cells, right? The dead things can come back to life. So when you're putting and implementing these processes we're putting together, I want you to really anchor into what is your why?
Yeah, it's like people want to lose weight, people want to feel better, people want to exercise, but that can't be your end-all be-all, right? There's a reason behind that. So when people say, I want to lose weight, well, why do you want to lose weight? Well, it makes me feel this certain way. Okay, when it makes you feel this certain way, what does that prevent you from doing, or what? Like, how does that make you feel? And so you really have to dig deep, right? Dig deep. Why do you want to be healthier? For me, I was visiting my dad about 3 years ago, and I get a call in the middle of the day from my sister letting me know that he was driving headfirst into traffic, like completely out of his mind. She was on the right lane, looking over, watching cars weave out of their way to not get hit by my dad. And the truth is that he had let his diabetes go for a long time, 25 years of just uncontrolled diabetes. And so why do I want to be healthy? Because I never want that to happen to me, right? I never want to put people in danger, and ultimately I want to have dominion over my health. I want to be able to decide what I'm doing. I want to set a great example for my patients. I want to set a great example for, some of you have kids out there. Your kids look up to you and they copy exactly what you're doing, right? So you have the ability to influence future generations. They say that actions that you make right now can influence up to 3 generations in the future. The way that we can change how our genes are expressed can either lead you to sickness and disease or health, and not just for you, but for your future generations as well.
That's so good. So Alicia says that everything is coming through loud and clear. I want you guys to know that you can send us your questions throughout this workshop. Dr. Cody posted that you can do that at the end. If we have enough time left in the webinar, we'll be happy to answer those questions live for you. So what Dr. Cody just addressed is something that we talk about of breaking through those mental barriers. And I've talked to patients this week that were at our nutrition workshop Saturday, and they're just, I don't have enough time. I don't have enough energy, right? You have to make time. You have to figure out what those barriers are, and I like to write them down and then put a line through them, and right next to them, write a solution, write a truth.
Yep. And
that's a real practical way to say, I can't afford it. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough energy. I'm too busy. I got to take care of my kids. That's a good way to handle that crap. We call it bad BS, right?
Yep.
It's bad belief systems.
Bad belief system. Get your mind out of the gutter.
Yeah, bad belief systems is a good way to handle that. So you guys know who we are. We're not going to spend too much time, but a quick reminder, when we talk about the 5 essentials, we call them essentials for a reason, right?
Yeah.
They're not options, right? They're essentials. These are essential ingredients or essential steps to live a full, happy, healthy life.
And you can view each one of these essentials, every single one of these essentials can have interferences to health. So we know with chiropractic, in order for anything to function in your body, you have to have a healthy functioning nervous system. You can have an interference to health if you're putting bad food in your body. We know that every single food that you put in your mouth goes through your stomach, breaks down into the individual cells, and gets put back together to form things like your heart and your lungs, right? So if you're eating bad food 3 times a day, then what is going to make up your heart and your lungs and your liver and your stomach cells? And even nerves can be regenerated. So, when we look at nutrition, mindset, oxygen, exercise, minimizing toxins, the overall point of the 5 essentials is we want to eliminate interferences in every single one of these so that your body can build health, so it has the best chance. So good. Today we're going through nutrition, so it's great.
So what I want you guys to think about are the 3 most common mistakes people make with nutrition is too much sugar, too many toxins, and not enough good fats. You guys, many of you guys on the line might know this, but we want to really refine where does sugar come from? What are some hidden sources of toxins? And what are good fats? When we're actually talking about good fats, what are the fats that we need our body to be able to have available to build health?
Yeah. So let's talk about genes. I was just doing a consult with somebody today, and they had high blood pressure, and they said, you know what, my grandma had high blood pressure, my mom has high blood pressure, and therefore I have high blood pressure as well. And I try not to break into a really long conversation about it, but the truth is that your genes are the hardwiring of your body, and it can predispose you to certain conditions, but that doesn't mean that it guarantees that you're going to have those conditions. And a great example of this is something like the breast cancer gene. So BRCA, the BRCA gene, BRCA, you can have the gene and never get cancer, and you can not have the gene and still get cancer, right? So even though our genes is something that we are hardwired with, we can change the way that it's expressed. And actually, Bruce Lipton, a PhD, came up with this idea, and it's been proven that we change the expression of our genes. So it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter what family history you have, or even your personal history, what's happened in the past, your body has the ability to heal. We need to change the way that your body is adapting to it. And some of that is, we call it the internal environment. Your body will always respond to its environment. So what is your body's internal environment is what you should be asking yourself. And are you constantly exposing yourself to things like toxins, bad foods? We talked about bad fats, too much sugar that can be causing a reaction in your body, predisposing you and causing certain diseases. Right?
So Dr. Cody, I'm hearing you say that I'm not a victim of my genetics, and that my choices actually turn on and off my genes, and I have control over it. That's freedom right there. That's hope.
Yeah.
I love that. And so let's walk through some action steps of how to change those genes, and maybe things to stay away from. When we think about sugar, right? When I think about sugar, I think about this white stuff, right? And a lot of patients come in and say, hey, I don't have a problem eating candy. I don't have a problem eating cupcakes. I don't really eat that much sugar.
Drink soda.
They're like, I don't drink soda anymore, which is great. Step 1, awesome. But the reality is there's so many hidden sources of sugar out there. What are some of those hidden sources of sugar?
Yeah, you can find them. So we look at high glycemic carbohydrates. So we look at pasta, we look at rices. We even things like ketchup, tomato sauce. I mean, there's so many things. If you have a processed food, you really need to look at the back. And here's a quick tip, is that we know that carbohydrates turn into sugar the quickest. And it's not to say that all carbohydrates are bad, but you need to understand that there are high glycemic carbohydrates, there's moderately high glycemic carbohydrates, then there's low, right? And so to say that carbs are bad in general, like spinach, kale, collard greens are all carbohydrates, but we need to focus on the things that turn into sugar the most. So again, any processed food, like a pasta, rice. But a quick tip that I was saying is if you look at the back of a box and you see total grams of carbohydrates, say you see something that says 17 grams of the total carbohydrates, but you see sugar is only 3 grams. So, what you would think is that there's only 3 grams of sugar in that, but actually if you look at the ingredients, any refined ingredient is going to turn into sugar almost immediately. So it says 3 grams of sugar, total carbohydrates is 17. Well, if all of those is like brown rice syrup or it's brown or some kind of flour that's really refined, then really you may be ingesting 17 grams of sugar and you might have no idea.
Wow. So when I flip that thing over, right, I flip that pasta sauce. Here was a great example. I was looking for pasta sauce the other day, organic pasta sauce, and they're all organic. They all look great, but I had to flip over like 15 before I could find one without added sugar in it,
Yeah.
right? And the reality is, yes, you can get some sugar from tomatoes, right? But imagine the sugar from tomatoes plus the added sugar. It takes a while to flip that
Right.
container over and find one without added sugar. So I'm looking for anything that ends in ose.
Yep.
Right? Glucose, dextrose, sucrose,
Fructose.
fructose,
Yep.
any kind of syrup names, right? What are some of the syrup names?
Well, there's brown rice syrup.
Oh, that's a good one.
But here's another thing too, is that sometimes they'll try to trick you. Use things like maltodextrin,
Yep.
which is a form of corn sugar, and then you see things like high fructose corn syrup. We're all well aware of high fructose corn syrup. And there's another thing called, I believe it's dehydrated sugars, dehydrated cane syrup.
Yes.
That's what it is. Okay, so what is syrup? It's sugar plus water. So what is dehydrated syrup? It's just sugar, right? So they'll try to trick you by saying dehydrated cane syrup or something, but really all that comes back to say is that there's just sugar.
We also see it in salad dressings, in salsas. So, a lot of times you're making a good effort to make healthy choices, but there are these hidden things that by the end of the day, you're back to as much sugar as if you were eating ice cream or cupcakes every day, eating what you think is a healthy meal. So watch out for that.
So all in all, action step is that to figure out what are the high glycemic carbohydrates, what are the moderate glycemic carbohydrates, and what are the low, right?
Yep. So we have a chart coming up.
Identifying,
and we can show that. While we're here, it says damaged fats and toxins. So if you guys think about, some of you are watching this wanting to lose some weight, right? The number one contributor of adipose tissue or body fat is actually sugar. So if you ingest sugar and your body doesn't need it immediately, it stores it, and eventually the storage form gets to fat, right? And so most of our adipose tissue is actually excess sugar. A lot of us think that we got fat from eating fat, but it's really not true at all. We'll talk about fat in a second. The number one cause of your belly fat, right, or those loose triceps is excess sugar. So that's why on our advanced plan, it's a very plant-based keto type plan. It's very low glycemic, and we're replacing those calories that we're missing actually with healthy fats.
That's so good.
The last bullet point on here is toxins. So the number one place your body stores excess toxins
is the adipose tissue.
Is in the adipose tissue.
The actual physical fat is where the toxins are storing themselves.
So if you guys are moving on to the advanced plan, one of the first things you're going to want to do is make sure your body is detoxifying appropriately. And so what we recommend and what we sell in our office for this reason is a good glutathione supplement in the morning, because glutathione is the main way your liver detoxifies, and then a good binder that you take at night, because after you push those toxins out of the cell, you want something to sweep up those toxins at night. So anytime someone is doing a reboot or reset or losing a lot of weight, we want to make sure they're detoxifying appropriately, and we can talk to you about that.
And it's not that the body doesn't do it automatically, because there are some people out there saying, I will never take a detox because I think it's stupid. There is a time and a place for it, and specifically if you're losing weight, it's good to do it once a quarter. We do it once a quarter. Anytime we're doing a challenge, starting to be extra healthy, we want to make sure that we have something that binds those toxins and gets them out of there.
That's good.
So is there anything worse than sugar, right? Because we're talking about it. There was a slide I thought that we had. You go to a restaurant, you see some packets on the table. There's 3 colors. There's yellow, there's pink, and there's blue. Is there anything worse than sugar? Splenda has actually been shown to kill important gut bacteria. And so with this, it's also 200 to 300 times sweeter than sugar. And so what they found, and you can look, there's research out there that there's something called SSBs, which are sugar sweetened beverages, and then there are alternatively sweetened beverages, ASBs. And what they found is that people that use like diet drinks, which is aspartame, and there is asulfame, potassium, there's all these artificial sweeteners. What they found is that those people actually end up gaining more weight, because it triggers more of a sugar craving versus people that just cut it out, or people that use very moderate sweeteners.
That's pretty crazy. So what's the solution?
Yep. So the solution, there are a few of them. Stevia is one of the most well-known sweeteners out there. Some people say it can have a bitter taste, so you definitely want to limit it. But stevia comes from a plant, I believe it's from Peru, but they refine it, and you're able to use it either in powder form or in liquid form. And so what stevia has been shown is that in people that have either high blood pressure or high blood sugar, aka diabetes, it's actually been shown to moderate those two things. So actually lower blood sugar and lower blood pressure in patients that have those. So there is a benefit to that, but also avoiding sugar is going to be huge for anybody with any chronic disease. There's also another product that's very common in stores.
You're talking about xylitol?
Yep.
So xylitol is a sugar alcohol, and a sugar alcohol does not cause that insulin spike that sugar does, just like stevia. Even though it's derived from a sugar, it's broken down in order to not cause that insulin spike. A lot of you guys are on here because, just reminded me, you want to see some hormone changes. And what is insulin? Insulin is actually a hormone, and it participates in what we call the hormone cascade. So one of the fastest ways to see your thyroid heal, to see your body begin to regulate sleep, mood, energy, inflammation, is to begin to get that hormone cascade under control. And the first step is to get your insulin under control. So stevia and xylitol are the two sweeteners you want to use to replace sugar. Be careful when you're buying stevias. Flip that sucker over, look on the back, because there are hidden sugars like dextrose that they're adding to stevias now. So you want to find either a stevia xylitol combination or just a pure stevia or xylitol.
And there's also monk fruit as well, which is another sweetener. So really take your pick. But what you want to do is make sure that you have these things at your house. So then, most of our patients have the Align Your Health book, which if you don't, we have it on our website. You're welcome to purchase it. But it's good to have these staple ingredients at your house. So let's go through some myths. Counting calories is an effective way to healthy nutrition. We have been counting calories for ages, and we know that the game is not only calories in, calories out. Because again, we're talking about hormones, and we can't count calories and deal with hormones. And so what we talked about is that it's quality over quantity. And so most people know that 22 almonds, like a handful of almonds and one Twinkie, there's the same amount of calories, but if you were to eat the almonds every day, say once a day, versus one Twinkie, you're going to be a lot better off. You're going to be a lot healthier, right? It's not so much about counting calories unless you're on a strict exercise regimen and you really need those specific macros. I would say that for 99% of the people, quit counting calories and let's focus more on quality.
That's good. Number one fat myth that I like to debunk is fat makes you fat. It's not fat that makes you fat. It's the inability to burn fat that makes you fat. Fat is actually a crucial ingredient, probably not for milk, so this slide is, maybe we should replace that.
Maybe there should be, this is almond milk.
Okay, we need to look at, or coconut milk. Healthy forms of fat to actually build your brain, your hormones, the conductivity sheaths around your nervous system. They're called myelin. Fat doesn't make you fat. It's the inability to burn fat that makes you fat. So there's this hormone called leptin, and we won't go too far into it, except for I want you to think about leptin like you think about insulin, right? When you think about insulin, a lot of times type 2 diabetes comes from a burnout of the insulin receptors on the cell. So leptin is this great hormone that the hypothalamus, part of the brain, makes that tells you when it is time to start burning fat for fuel, right? It's produced by your fat cells, and it tells your brain to burn fat for energy. So taking a step back, we have two fuel sources for the body primarily. We have a glucose sugar source, and then we have a fat ketone source, right? You guys have heard of the ketogenic diet. So the primary fuel, the cleanest burning fuel for your brain is actually a ketone or a fat-derived fuel source.
Both the brain and the heart prefer ketones over glucose, believe it or not.
So what we want to do is we want to convert our body from being a high glycemic, really reactive, inflammatory sugar burner to becoming a fat burner. And the way our body knows it's okay to do that is through this hormone called leptin. Here's the problem. If you are eating, as we do in modern America, snacks throughout the entire day that are high glycemic, and you watch your blood sugar go up and down, up and down,
Roller
up and
coaster.
down. It's a roller
Go
coaster.
down.
We've all been there. I am bonking. I cannot think. I just have to eat, right? If you've had those experiences, I've eaten in 3 hours. I'm starting to get shaky, right? That means your body is a sugar burner, and you are not fat adapted. You are not burning clean, slow fuel. Think about burning fat for fuel like burning diesel fuel. It's much slower, more sustainable, less reactive fuel.
Yeah.
Right. And so what can happen is leptin. You can have leptin burnout, and leptin burnout really keeps your body from telling your fat to start burning up.
Yeah.
And it's a problem, and it takes time to reset that. And that's why we're going to walk you through this advanced plan. You really need to be doing your reboot for a minimum of 14 days, if not 30. You need to be exercising. We're going to be talking about the right types of exercise, because there's very particular steps that it takes to heal these leptin receptors. And ironically, or maybe not so ironically, it's the exact same steps that we will take to heal the insulin receptors on the cell. Right? And so you're doing a very, very powerful thing by getting on the advanced plan, by starting to do high intensity interval training, to do max T3, because you're literally changing your hormone cascade. It's not a diet. It's all about hormones. It's all about giving your body the opportunity to heal.
Yeah, and just to revisit, I mean, as you said, most people are sugar burners, and you're constantly putting that food in your mouth, and you never give your body a chance. Because if you think about, like ancestral times, how often did they eat meals every hour on the hour? It just didn't happen. They would eat, go a day or two or three, and when it does that, when you starve yourself of sugar, which it sounds cruel, but if you're eating good quality fats, some protein, and low glycemic carbohydrates, it's totally doable, and the advanced plan shows you how to do that. When you limit sugar, then your body starts to get hungry, right? But if you never do that, then your body never starts to get hungry, and therefore it never breaks down the fat as a fuel.
Right. So some of you guys will have a little bit of a challenge when you first go into the advanced plan. You're going to feel like you're hungry. Resist the urge to eat crap.
Yeah.
The way the advanced plan is, it's not a starvation diet. We want you to get plenty of calories, but they need to come from healthy fats, a moderate amount of protein, and really nutrient-dense, low glycemic foods. And when you do that, your body begins to heal that leptin. And what I want your takeaway to be from leptin is that it takes time to heal, but you are changing the hormone cascade of your body. And anytime you're like, man, this is hard, know that your body is literally changing modes and healing these receptors, and just kind of receive. Maybe you're like, man, I'm hungry, or I just have that craving.
Yeah.
You resisting that and putting the right foods in your body is literally letting your hormones heal.
Yeah, well, if you have the Align Your Health book, there are many chapters in the back. One of them is desserts. You can have amazing desserts. Because when you have that craving, say you just ate a meal, and you have a craving like you're still hungry, chances are that's your carbohydrate sensor. That's your body saying, I want more sugar. You can still have amazing desserts like blueberry or blackberry, like raspberry cobbler. You can have chocolate avocado mousse. You can have almond flour lemon bars, which are delicious. But how are you doing that? You're sweetening them with stevia and xylitol, and so you can actually overcome that craving while still getting exactly what your body wants, but understanding that you've ate a significant amount of healthy fats. You've eaten low glycemic carbohydrates, and so while you're still getting full, it's not a starvation diet. You can still eat, but we just want to choose the right things.
So why healthy fats? Here's a great list. You could screenshot this if you have the ability. But a lot of vegans and vegetarians, which actually vegetarian diets are awesome. But the mistake that the ones that are still sick make is they don't get enough of these healthy fats.
Yeah.
And so when I'm working with my vegetarians and vegans, I am supporting them all the way because they're making great changes for their life.
Yeah.
However, I want to make sure that they're getting these healthy fats, because your fat makes up your cell membrane. Your cell membrane is this barrier around your cell that tells what can come in and what can come out. And your cells make tissues. Tissues make organs. Organs make up your body. So obviously, you want healthy cells. When we're eating healthy fats, well, it's the next slide. Okay, so I'm going to show you kind of bad fats versus good fats. We used to think that healthy fats led to body fat and cholesterol. And
like bacon and eggs, if I eat bacon, which bacon isn't the cleanest source of protein whatsoever. But let's talk about eggs, right? I mean, that's something very commonly that we'll hear.
Yeah. So they used to think that is what caused disease. And what we've done as a society is we've gone low fat. And low fat, what does that mean? It just means high sugar.
Yeah.
And we've deprived our body, our hormones, our brain, our cells, our nervous system of the fats we need to build health. So the number one thing you guys want to do is put healthy fats back in your body. And the question is, what is a good fat and what is a bad fat? Take your time, look at this list, take a screenshot. This is the first thing I think I would probably change in my pantry.
Yeah, it's the easiest. In this section with fats, it's a lot of substitutions. You're not limiting yourself in any way. You're just choosing better things. So let's go through the bad fats. We look at hydrogenated oils. So back in 2015, over the summer, the FDA mandated that all food producers have to get rid of hydrogenated oils or trans fats in the food. They said they would give them 3 years. So that was back in 2015, which means 2018 they should be out, but it's still something that you need to look for. And ironically, the boxes that say trans fat free actually can still have trans fats or hydrogenated oils in them as long as it's less than 0.5 grams per serving. So if it's 0.49999 grams per serving and there's 96 servings, there can still be trans fats. So it's a little bit lower. Look at these rancid vegetable oils. These are things that you want to get out of your house immediately. You know, sometimes when we're talking about toxins and people say, oh, I have an old shampoo, I'm just going to use it until it's done. We're not going to do that here because these oils are affecting you every single time that you eat them. So you look at corn oil, canola oil, soybean oils, and a ton of dressings. Check your dressings because that's oftentimes the first ingredient. Something about canola oil is that canola, so corn oil, you can go find a corn plant, soybean oil, you can find a soybean plant, peanut oil, you can find a peanut plant. But where can you find a canola plant? And it actually
is a canola flower, but that's, if you're searching,
okay,
it's not the source of this oil.
Yes, thank you for that clarification, Dr. Peter, because he did look it up. Great. I've been telling people to look it up. He's the first person that ever did it. So thank you for following my advice. Appreciate it. So canola actually stands for Canada Oil Low Acid. So CAN is Canada, OLA is oil low acid, and it actually comes from what's called a rapeseed plant. In order to make it, there's a very strenuous process to clarify the oil. And so due to that, it can actually hydrogenate the oil. There's been studies in the late 90s showing that canola oil can have hydrogenated oils in them, which our body has no idea what to do with. So canola oil will say that there's a healthy balance of omega-6 to omega-3. That may be the case. However, we're concerned about the rancidity of those oils even within there.
So this is what happens. If you consume those oils, you say, how bad could it be? Those cells, remember, that have that fat layer around it, if you are putting these oils in your body recognizes them as fat, but only enough to let them in, and then it doesn't know what to do with it. And so when your cells become to be made up of these rancid oils, it won't allow anything to come into the cell and nothing to leave the cell. And so it's like wrapping your cells with saran wrap, right? They become very toxic very quick. And one of the fastest ways to heal is to get the crap out of your fat and start putting good fats in. So let's focus now on this list to the right. These are the good fats. These are the things that we want to put in our house. We want to have extra virgin olive oil on hand, avocados like crazy. We consume tons of avocados, avocado oil, coconut oils, raw nuts and seeds. Be careful that you're not eating roasted nuts because those are cooked in, guess what? Often canola oil or other rancid oils. We want to go with a raw organic grass-fed butter, cheese, and yogurt. We also want to get fats from meats, eggs, milk. We want to really limit unless it's a raw or whole source because cows are just not, frankly, not the healthiest animals on the planet. But you can eat raw, organic, whole milk. And then a big part of our diet that it's difficult for most people, to be honest, is incorporating fish. But wild caught salmon, sardines, mackerel, anchovies, right? Halibut can get a little bigger, but those cold water Pacific fish are really healthy and good for you. A couple caveats with those top 3 oils I want you to remember. Extra virgin olive oil should be consumed raw. We're going to incorporate it into our salads and maybe dips like hummus and stuff.
And also after you're done cooking food, that it can be added after, like once the food's already on the
Right.
plate, once the food's already in a bowl, whatever you're eating, just drizzle it on there to add extra healthy fats.
Coconut oil, that third bullet, is going to be your medium heat oil. Do you know the smoke point of that? Is that 350?
It's somewhere around 350. Yeah.
So you could do a slow bake with that, but we do not want to be pan frying coconut oil.
Yeah.
Avocado oil is your go-to. Avocado can be heated up to about 450 degrees Fahrenheit. In fact, avocado oil is now pretty proud of that. You'll see that advertised on most avocado oils that it has a high smoke point.
Yeah, but all in all, when you put that pan on the stove, anytime you see it starting to bubble and just spit out everywhere, that's when you know that the oil is going rancid. So what we say, instead of high temp and frying it, so instead of high and fry, you want to go slow and low. Make sure that you don't really cross that medium high threshold on the stovetop. Because we want to make sure that those oils are well intact, that your body knows exactly what to do with them. And really, we're talking about fats, and we say this is one of the most important changes you can make. It's really not that difficult to do, and you can really start to see amazing changes in your
Absolutely.
health. Last thing about fish is, again, it's getting harder and harder to find fresh fish without any toxins. We know that there's bioaccumulation, and so one thing I'm going to say is that when you're buying a fish, I would say, like Pacific fish, you might not know where that's coming from. I mean, is it a Pacific fish from Japan, which I don't know, with the tsunami, there's a lot of things. And so fish is becoming something less and less, but something like Scottish salmon, something in cold water fish is going to be your best bet.
So we skipped a few slides there. That's just some research, because I want to really get to this slide. That's what you're talking about, Dr. Cody, is when we're making those swaps, we talked about incorporating some organic grass-fed meat, wild-caught fish, not farm-raised, right? So the next action step is you need to switch that with your beef and your chicken and your dairy. You mentioned a concept called bioaccumulation, which is worth kind of talking about just for a second. And that is when basically the further up the food chain, right, that you are as an animal, the more toxins you get, because it's an exponential increase of what you ate. Right? So we like to say you are what you ate. So anytime you're putting something in your body, especially these proteins, these great sources of healthy fats as well, you want to make sure that what you ate is healthy.
Yeah, because remember, where toxins hide
in the fat.
So you say, okay, I'm getting grass-fed beef, getting free-range chicken, I'm getting all these good things, but if what you ate is not good, then you're going to be exposed to those. And just a way to think about it, it takes 10 pounds of feed to make 1 pound of beef. So if we know that corn, we look at corn, soybean, and wheat are some of the most heavily sprayed GMO. Well, soybean and corn are GMO, wheat is not, but they're still heavily sprayed. Think about if a cow has to eat 10 pounds of that heavily pesticide sprayed food just to make 1 pound, that's bioaccumulation right there. So you're only eating half a pound of beef, but guess what? You're eating half of 10 pounds to make that. You're eating 5 pounds of all of these vegetables that are sprayed. Does that make sense?
That's pretty crazy. So what I look for is an organic, grass-fed, grass-finished beef. The reality is it's very difficult to find. So the other thing that you can do, because there's no standard on grass-fed anymore, there is the USDA organic label, which is a great go-to. And Dr. Cody and I talked about this recently. He goes for the USDA organic label. I think the ideal is that you go to a farm that you know what their practices are. So that really just brings us back to eating local, which is a huge movement right now. It's really popular. You can go in with a family and buy a quarter of a cow or half a cow and have it in your freezer for a year. You also can eat more plants and less beef. If it's hard and expensive to find beef, maybe more of your diet should be more plant strong. I do know as far as chicken goes, it's a little easier, but we don't just want to look for a natural chicken. We don't want to just look for a cage-free chicken. We actually want to see a pasture-raised or free-range chicken that's also carrying that organic designation. I know even Costco, you can buy the whole chickens that are organic, free-range. You'll notice with the eggs are a great example. So when you look at eggs, there's pasture-raised, there's organic, there's not organic, there's free-range, there's all these different eggs, and you're like, what the heck do I buy? So I look for an organic, and I look for a free-range or pasture-raised egg, chicken, and beef. as well as a cold water wild caught fish.
And it's hard to gauge because look, a cow that eats grass is going to have a better omega-3 profile, right? And it's going to make you healthier. However, there's different caveats. The organic label guarantees that it was fed organic food, but you look at grass-fed beef, that's going to be a great source of omega-3s. You say, do I do grass-fed or the organic label? Because the organic label, they could still eat corn, wheat, soy, which is extremely inflammatory, but it's organic, so it might not have the toxins. Does that make sense? That there's a toss-up.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, there's not one answer. We want to make sure that we are just doing the right thing. And this is something really important to talk about if we go to this research paper. We want to make sure that we're getting omega-3 supplements. So if you want to be any chronic disease, and actually there's a new study that just came out, and there's some simple instructions. If you put your 2 fingers right below your jaw, and if you feel a pulse, that means that you should be taking an omega-3 supplement. Now, there's some caveats. If you take any blood thinners, there's definitely things that you need to talk to your doctor about. But we know that higher omega-3s is associated with decreased inflammation and decreased autoimmune diseases. And really, there's a certain ratio that we're looking for. And the research has shown to about anywhere from 2 to 4 to 2 to 1 to 4 to 1 is the ratio that we want. That means that there's 4 to 1 ratio from omega-6 to omega-3s.
So omegas we're talking about are these essential fatty acids. That means you can't make it. You have to get it from your food. Mm-hmm. So if you don't like salmon and you're not eating sardines and wild caught fish, you can get it from flaxseed and a couple other oils, but you have to eat a ton of those. And the reality is just the way we live, we eat so many omega-6s. It's like a seesaw with a 300-pound person with a 2-year-old trying to balance it, right? Yeah. It just doesn't work. And so this is one of those key supplements that you want to take, and you want to have a clean, pure source for it.
Yeah. And so the reason for this is that, I said that 2 to 1 to 4 to 1 is the ideal range from omega-6 to omega-3. What they found is that as that number increases to 6 to 1, 8 to 1, 10 to 1, 20 to 1, that's when researchers really started to see a lot of chronic disease come about, whether it's autoimmune, heart disease, cancer. And so when you look at the average American, it's somewhere around 40 to 1. And so when you look at an action step, what do I do? Do I take an omega-3 supplement? That is a first step. But we need to decrease the amount of omega-6. If we have a ton of omega-6 and we try to supplement with omega-3, then guess what? We still have a ton of omega-6. So it's kind of, this is like anything that we talk about with supplementation. It's like, it's called a supplement because it's supposed to supplement a healthy lifestyle. It's not something that takes it over and, that you can just substitute for. You need to take a practical action step of decreasing the omega-6s. So that's all of those bad fats we're talking about. And the reason for you look at this slide is those compete for the same enzymes in the body. And so what do you want to be? You want to be you want to be inflamed, or do you want to live an anti-inflammatory lifestyle? And really decreasing those omega-6s will make the omega-3s more likely to be able to convert those enzymes in the body and those essential fatty acids to the way that you need them.
All right, so when we talk about meat and omega-3 versus omega-6, one of the best things about an organic grass-fed cow is you get a high omega-3 profile because the cow is not inflamed, you become not inflamed. So chicken's not inflamed, you don't get inflamed. We want to talk about, I love this slide because this is a great hack. If you're switching to the advanced plan and you are going to a plant-strong keto-type diet, if you can win the morning, you can win the day, right? Yeah. If you win the morning, you've already won 1/3 of your meals that day, and you're already 1/3 of your way to become healthier. So we want to consume a lot of our protein early in the day because protein will actually stabilize blood sugar in the body for hours after that meal. Protein, specifically an organic grass-fed source, is going to boost your natural detoxifying pathways through upping glutathione. Right, and glutathione is that supplement we want to take while we're detoxifying. Glutathione is also something that we're getting from our grass-fed whey proteins. And it also, a lot of people, several people in our community have been fighting these colds and flus and bugs. And one of the things you want to do is really not eat anything. But one of the most important things you can do, and I promise your great-grandmother knew this too, is that you need to consume protein when you're sick because that is the precursor and foundation to your immune system. That's why your mom always made you chicken noodle soup or chicken bone broth, right? And so you've got to get those healthy proteins in. So we love, on the right, this is our grass-fed whey protein. This is my, we call it our fast food, right? Carol actually just brought me some protein and greens before this webinar because I only had one meal today and it was a smoothie, right? But I'm doing great and I'm functioning. But what is my fast food? I don't have time for a good meal. It's this grass-fed whey protein and greens. So even if you're making meals regularly and you have plenty of time to make those meals, this is something you're going to want to have on hand. If you're one of those people that has a busy lifestyle and you don't have time, guilty, I'm working on it, but that's me. I make a smoothie with this every day for either breakfast or lunch, and we'll talk more about that. I'll bump it to lunch if I'm fasting. Yeah. So I love it. I'll rotate through a bone broth protein and a plant-based protein. It's good to give your body kind of a variety of those amino acid profiles.
Yeah. So let's talk about cholesterol, because this is one of the foundations of how we eat in this country, is that we look at low fat, no fat, skim milk. We look at 2%, 1%, even in the yogurts and the cheeses, and we see that egg, you have like egg beaters that are only the egg whites. And so it's obvious that we've been taught something and then consumers have started to buy it, and it's just getting out of hand. Really, this myth that cholesterol causes heart disease goes back to the 1950s, 1960s, where researchers were paid by Big Sugar, and here's a study paid by Big Sugar to essentially promote carbohydrates. So essentially to say that eating fats lead to cholesterol, which clogs the arteries. And we know that that's not true. Cholesterol is a repair mechanism. It's there for a reason. What they found is that as there's inflammation in the body, cholesterol goes through and actually repairs little nicks and little damage to the arteries. And so if you think about this, if you ever put salt and water inside of a glass and you shook it around, it's very abrasive. Well, different toxins, whether it's cigarette smoke, whether it's sugars, or certain chemicals that we put in our bodies, can cause that inflammation, and therefore that's why cholesterol is there. Blaming cholesterol is like blaming the firefighter for putting out the fire just because you saw him at the scene. There was something that caused the inflammation at the beginning, and then cholesterol is there. So we don't want to eliminate cholesterol, and cholesterol is not the enemy. What we have to figure out is, why is the inflammation there?
So if I have high cholesterol, some action steps I could take is decrease the sugar, get on the advanced plan, get a good omega-3 supplement, maybe CoQ10, start moving my body, and when I retest it, those blood levels will get down lower, and you will begin to heal. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
If just something to throw out there, if you're on a statin supplement, you need to be supplementing with CoQ10. It's responsible for your metabolism, for all muscles. Actually, in the mitochondria, you need that. So literally in your cells, you need that in order to produce energy. If you're taking a statin, it's blocking that conversion. And one of the things that I saw with my dad is that he was on statin medications for over 20 years. He had foot drop. He's really starting to lose the control of his leg. Some of that's due to diabetes, but if you're taking a medication, you have to know what the effects are, what kind of hormones are being blocked as a result. So statins and CoQ10 is one huge thing there. I just want to throw that out.
That's so good. Let's talk about some action steps. So we just kind of maybe open a can of worms for many of you guys, and I know it can be overwhelming. It can be a lot of things. So what can you walk away with? Yeah. What are your next steps? What is right for me? That's what we're going to cover this last maybe 12 minutes of this webinar before we open up for questions. So right before you see a core plan and advanced plan. Core plan is for is what we call our family eating plan, right? This is the bare minimum standard. Yeah. And Dr. Cody loves to talk about this. So do you want to talk about your minimum standard?
Yeah, well, the minimum standard is what you allow in your house. And so when we talk about the core plan, again, we're talking about a healthy source protein. That should be one of the first things that you change because of the bioaccumulation of toxins. So you want to have a healthy, naturally sourced protein that's preferably organic. We're looking at moderate to low to moderate glycemic carbohydrates. So what does that look like? When we look at fruits, we are looking at anything that ends in berries. So, and I didn't say berries because cherries is technically in that. So we don't want cherries because those are high sugar. But blackberries, raspberries, strawberries, loganberries, I don't know, what elderberries, whatever type of berries you want, those are going to be low glycemic sugars, and so we can eat those a lot because they're not going to just spike the blood sugar. Look at lemons, limes, grapefruits, things like bananas, pineapples. Give me some other ones. Mangoes are going to be off of that just because it causes so much of an insulin response. We're looking at things like traditional pastas and rices. Actually, on the core plan, certain rices like whole grain are
Sprouted, right?
Yeah, sprouted whole grain rices are okay as long as they're earlier in the day. So things like quinoa, couscous, right? As long as you have the ability to burn them off before the end of the day, it's not something that we're going to have for dinner. But even things like sweet potatoes are in there as well, like moderately glycemic carbohydrates are going to be good for the core plan.
So my family kind of balances back and forth between the core plan and the advanced plan.
Yeah.
And then, of course, every quarter, even if you don't have a disease process, you should be jumping on that advanced plan just to do a good reboot, make sure your body's in a healing mode. But the reality is you can live on the advanced plan too.
Mm-hmm.
You can live in this ketosis period. And the longer you're on the advanced plan, the better your body responds to popping in and out of this fat burning mode. And so it becomes easier and easier and easier, and really the benefits just begin to exponentially increase.
So can we give some examples of the advanced plan? So we wake up and we have a smoothie that has something like coconut milk or almond milk.
Yep.
We're putting chia seed, flaxseed. Maybe I just skipped way ahead.
We'll get there.
All right, we're gonna get there because we're gonna give you practical action steps.
So this is your Align Your Health book, right? Everyone should have one of these. If you don't, let us know. You can purchase it on our website or at the office. In the back, there's Appendix A and B. Appendix A and B is where you're going to go to find the advanced and the core plan. Specifically, Appendix B is the core plan. So if you want to know what is on the core plan, what are the principles, go to Appendix B for the advanced plan, and then it will lay out everything Dr. Cody and I just talked about. We also have appendixes that let you know exactly what you should have in the kitchen, how to navigate the grocery store, meal planning, as well as an entire chapter dedicated to nutrition where you can get a lot of these principles. So when I'm thinking about the advanced plan, before I go into like specifics, I think about 3 simple changes. Mm-hmm. And this is what we've been talking about the entire time. It's eliminate the grains, which Dr. Cody just talked about, those fruits. We want to replace conventional protein with natural protein. And our goal is about 16 grams a meal for a female, 20 grams a meal for a man for protein. You don't want to go too much over that because your body can actually turn protein to sugar. And then we want to remove the bad fats and replace them with good ones. To me, this is sometimes one of the hardest things. You really want to make sure you keep on hand avocados, canned coconut milk, maybe coconut milk by the carton, walnuts.
Grass-fed butter for your bulletproof coffee.
Organic grass-fed butter, maybe an organic grass-fed full-fat yogurt.
Maybe like coconut flakes, you can put that in desserts. Also, one thing I like to do, you can make almond butter. Just if you have a food processor, you literally throw whatever type of like nuts you want in there. You put some coconut oil in there. You can put some there's hazelnut, there's white macadamia nut oils that you can put in there. Throw some coconut flakes in there. So there's many opportunities to get healthy fats. Some of it is creativity. A lot of it comes from the Align Your Health book.
So this is a chart that explains basically the nutrient density of food. If you look in the top left corner, you see your dark leafy greens, kales, collards, bok choy, spinach, broccoli. These things, Swiss chard, are the highest nutrient dense. These are high detoxifying, they're high cancer fighting, they're high inflammatory fighting, and these basically almost everything in the top part of the green column is going to be on the advanced plan. Everything on the bottom right is what the standard American diet, the SAD diet, right?
Skim milk. What do you got?
Low-fat yogurt,
whole
potato
wheat bread,
chips.
white pasta, Coca-Cola.
All of that has no nutrients.
American cheese.
And not just no nutrients, but it has anti-nutrients, nutrients that cause disease and process and just fuel inflammation and cause you to gain weight. So we want to spend more time in the top left, less time in the bottom right, and this is really outlines pretty well in the Align Your Health book.
And this is just something to live by. I mean, if you're going to choose anything, choose something from the left there. So take a screenshot if you need to. It's also in the book, but really, yeah, that's what we're going to prefer is all the way on the left there.
So I want to walk through this Well, no, let's talk about moving your body, because moving your body is key to the hormone game. It's key to jump starting your body from being a sugar burner to a fat burner. It's key to becoming what we call fat adapted, using fat for fuel. And it's key to pushing oxygen in and toxins out. So, Dr. Cody, what is Max T3 and why do we need to do it?
Yeah, so Max T3 is a high intensity workout made by Max Living. Actually, one of our doctors focuses in this, but what it is, it's just a 12-minute workout. Some of them are actually only 6 minutes when you really get into it, but it's a high intensity workout, meaning that when you start, it's called an aerobic exercise. But as you keep going through it, you're only given certain breaks through it, and it's a short period of time. But what happens is you switch from an aerobic exercise to an anaerobic exercise, and you really get both systems of the body. And so it's a short workout. What ends up happening is that when you do this 12-minute workout, you can actually have effects up to 36 hours after. Specifically, what we're wanting to do is release growth hormone and testosterone as well.
Wow.
So testosterone comes from growth hormone. That's one of the effects of it. But that's what we want. It's a healthy testosterone for some of the ladies out there saying, I don't want broad shoulders. No, it's healthy to move.
So think about this. Your body needs to make growth hormone for health. And they're right when they talk about the research, is your body decreases growth hormone like crazy as you age. The number one way to increase that growth hormone is to move your body at a high intensity for short duration. So Max T3, the 3 T's stand for time, tempo, and type. Those 3 T's are key to exercising in a way that's building health. Many of us have been on a treadmill for 45 minutes to an hour and just chugging and not seeing results. In fact, when you do that, you're harming your body instead of helping your body. You're keeping your body in a fight or flight mode, and you're keeping cortisol high. Cortisol competes with these healthy hormones like growth hormones and keeps you pro-inflamed. So, a lot of information. Here's the tip. What we want you to do is you want to wake up in the morning and you want to do a Max T3 workout. High intensity, short duration, doesn't cost you any money. You don't have to have a gym membership. You can do it in your living room, and you will get the benefits for up to 36 hours afterwards, meaning you're burning fat and boosting growth hormone for 36 hours afterwards. This sets you up to become fat adapted. That makes all this work you're doing with nutrition so much more effective. Even those guys, even if you're going to the gym to become a bodybuilder or you're training for a marathon, it doesn't matter what additional workouts you want to add in. This is like talk about standards, a bare minimum standard to get your body healing. So practically, let's talk about routines. Oh, so if you don't have a Max T3 coupon, many of you guys, we gave you this book and we gave it as a bookmark in here. So check your book. You should have a bookmark with an access code. Go ahead and log in and want to start moving your body. Let's talk about some routines. Let me walk you through kind of what my morning looks like. I'm not perfect. This doesn't happen every morning, but it's becoming more and more consistent for me as I develop the pattern, as I've changed my brain and neuroplasticity. Is I'll wake up first thing in the morning, have a full glass of water. You can add lemon to really help your liver jump into gear. And then I'll get a cell detox or a morning glutathione supplement that really gets my body flushing and pushing toxins out of the cells. Next thing is I'll have a cup of organic coffee or tea, and then I begin a full page of thankfulness, right? And this is so important to get your brain in the right state for the rest of the day. And there's so much research we won't go into, but being thankful is extremely powerful. Your brain can really trigger a lot of your genes to produce health. Then we want to do our 12-minute Max T3 workout. So it does not take long. You're going to jump into that. Right after that, you could make a advanced plan, high fat, low glycemic breakfast, or for me, I'm often in a rush, so I do a moderate protein, high fat smoothie. I love our grass-fed whey proteins. I use the bone broth protein today. The plant protein's awesome as well. I'll do a handful of berries, half an avocado, about a third of a coconut milk, some almond milk, and some greens powder, and that's it. Dr. Cody.
I like chia seed, hemp seed, flax seed because those are great omega-3s to have. Costco sells frozen avocados, like literally in a bag.
That's a game changer.
That they will never go bad as long as they're in the freezer. Don't blame me for saying never. They might go bad after 10 years. But as long as you use them, you could put almond butter in your smoothies.
Yep.
There's so many good things you can put. If you have any other greens powder, like I have spirulina powder, I have some like medicinal mushroom, like chaga powder.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of things you can add to a smoothie to really amplify like your metabolism and also your energy as well. So again, own breakfast and you'll own the rest of the day.
Next thing I want to get in my body with a meal, because our supplements are plant-based, like true sourced supplements. If you want to get omegas, vitamin D, and a good multivitamin, that's like a bare minimum standard. And then if you're working with one of us to reverse disease, heal from a disease, or come off medications, you might have some more specific supplements, but that's my minimum standard. Then I'd walk through, you want to plan well ahead. It could be leftovers from the night before, or you could prep an advanced plan lunch. For snack, we think about things like raw almond butter with a green apple or a handful of raw nuts. My fast tip on raw nuts is buy them raw, no oil. Typically, the majority of nuts like walnuts and almonds, you want to soak for 12 to 24 hours. Then you can actually dry them and put a light coconut oil or olive oil with salt and pepper. You can use nutritional yeast for cheesy flavor. You can really cinnamon. You can season up the nuts in a way that is really tasty and refreshing for you.
Yes. Also for snacks, I mean, it's not listed in there, but I get things like kimchi, some fermented foods, right? So I have kombucha, I have kimchi, I have sauerkraut in my fridge, and literally, what's one of the best ways to kill a sugar craving is to eat some kind of fermented food. I remember when I was doing, I did keto for about 2 or 3 months, and anytime I'd get a sugar craving, I'd just go in there and eat some sauerkraut. And I guarantee you, when you do that, you're like, nope, I don't even want any sugar anymore. And it's a natural food. That's what happens.
So then you have a great advanced plan meal for dinner, and then water before bed with that detox binder in it. But intermittent fasting, basically you're going to do the same routine, but you're going to push breakfast smoothie to lunch. So your first meal will be starting at 11, and intermittent fasting has all kinds of research. We'll do another advanced workshop on fasting soon, but it's really the fastest way to burn fat, get into a fat adapted state, and to really allow your immune system to heal. So we walk through the same routine, but we want to be doing starting our first meal at 11 a.m. I want to exit out of this PowerPoint real quick. I want to show you key websites. So this is our 30-day challenge, right? So this challenge gives you an opportunity to start with where you're at. You can see weight, circumference, kind of self-check. Are you dealing with any of these? Quick calculation for the BMI. But what I want you guys to look at is each day we've broken down for you simple action steps to take. If you're the type of person that wants to follow a nutrition plan, we have breakfast, lunch, dinner, and 2 snacks laid out for you. Then we have a workout for the day in the bottom left, and then a tip to really continue to help you move forward to build a healthy lifestyle. If that's not you, then you need to do more research. You need to do more work. You need to read the chapter 4 in the book. You need to really master the principles of the Advancing Core Plan. And then you can start making your own recipes, your own healthy swaps, and begin to build health. So your action step really is to get signed up and message us, shoot us an email, give the office a call if you don't have this challenge, and we'll get you set up for it, or you don't have the book. Get this challenge, buy the book, because the recipes are in this book and they're also here. So everyone to go to rivercitywellnessatx.com. It's our website. While you're searching for us, you can leave us a great Google review. Articles and recipes. Healthy articles are great to learn, but healthy recipes is where you're going to find a lot of these recipes that are on the challenge. There are great advanced and core plan options on here. Who knew that fudge could be healthy? Come on, so good. You can find great substitutes for many of the foods that you like and use on a daily basis. So this is where you go to log in to set up your account to begin to do the Max T3 workouts and exercises. So you can sign in with your access code, and
I'm actually going to pull up Safari for this one. Oh, and you have it right here. I told you it was in Safari. You just had to get there. So when you hit sign in, it gives you the option you can save. Let's see, save your password. There it is. And really, when you go through here, there's 2 modules. One, these are the older videos that Dr. Peter and I are very familiar with. This is where we want you to start. So thinking about the Tabata is a little bit more difficult. I want you to go through fast and super fast. And so as you go through here, there's recipes, store, find a clinic. But I want you to click watch now, and we're just going to show you what this looks like. So there are fast workouts, and they're super fast. So the super fast workouts are 20 seconds on, 20 seconds off, and they're really good. So there's 2 uppers, 2 lowers, there's a core, and there's a surge, which is more like running in place and doing jumping jacks. And then there's fast, which is about 1 minute on, and I think 20 or 30 seconds off. So it gets a little bit more difficult. We definitely want you to start in the super fast, but here's your action step. Is if you have that bookmark, or if you have to go online, it's $9.99 if you have to purchase it on there. But I want you to at least watch one of these. Watch one of these and plan when you're going to do it. I'll show you an example of the video just very quickly. It tells you everything that you need as you're going through here. So pick a time that you're going to do it. So is it tomorrow morning? Is it in 2 days in the morning? Like, give yourself time. Don't set yourself up to fail. But we want you to take positive action steps towards doing this thing, because when you combine the workouts plus the eating plan, that's when you start to see these things start to change. Start to see weight go down. You start to see measurements go down, and you start to see disease literally just fall off you.
That's so good. So something else that it requires looking in advance, a week at a time, seeing what their meals are, then opening up that book or going to the website and making a shopping list, right? Many of you guys are used to that. It seems simple, but it does take some work. You do need to make a shopping list, and you need to learn to navigate the store in a new way. We will have a shop with the doc coming up this month, so you can sign up for that in our office. If you want some help navigating that grocery store, it takes some work at first, but once you learn these principles, once you start changing your lifestyle, you can get in and out of the store very quickly. It's not difficult. Anytime you start something new, it takes work. In fact, we know that it takes over 3 weeks, 21 days to 30 days to really rewire your brain. It requires that with this too, right? We're changing our brain, we're changing our body, we're changing our hormones, we're changing our physiology. So give yourself some grace. If you fall behind and you miss 2 days, so what? Start over the next day, right? If you mess up with breakfast, start again at lunch. You want to, you don't have to be perfect, just have to be what?
Awesome.
Don't have to be perfect, don't want it to be awesome. We're moving not towards perfection. We want to see progress. So start making these swaps. If you can just go in and go all at it, that's ideal, right? Yeah. Go in, go all at it. If not, learn the principles and start making the swaps. Either way, within 30 days, you're going to see really life transformation across the board.
Yeah, so we're going to wrap up with this presentation. Dr. Peter has one more thing that he's going to show us. Yep. But again, if you have questions, if you're a patient here in the office, make sure you ask us. You can always send us an email, info@rivercitywellnessatx.com.
Great. So as we're wrapping up, I just want you guys to know this is our store, and when we're talking about some of these supplements to take, this is where you can go to buy them if you don't buy them in the store, and you can choose it by men or women. And then one of the great things that we offer is if you sign up for an auto ship, let's say you're going to do women's multi every month for a while. You can sign up for auto ship, and you can save 20% on your order signing up for auto ship, which is pretty incredible. Anytime you want, you can pause or cancel that auto ship, but 20% off of supplements is much better than we can do if we carry the supplement in the office. And also you can find great information about what is in our supplements, comparison to the competitors, what each enzyme is good for, all the literature about it. We really carry excellent high value products, and we want to make sure that you are an informed consumer and you get the information you need. I will ask you when you come to this page so that they know it came from our clinic, you're just going to scroll down to River City Wellness here, not River City Chiropractic. It is going to be River City Wellness before you check out, and they'll know that you came from our office. So what we'll do is we're going to open it up for any questions that you guys might have. If you post to the group, we'll all see it. And if there are no questions here, then we'll sign off for the night, and you know that you can shoot us an email. You said again at info@rivercitywellnessatx.com.